Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to a brand new video today, and welcome to all the details you need to know that we know so far of F1 2020 My Team Career Mode, or the Create a Team Career Mode as I've likened it to ever since it came out basically. And so today we've got a whole bunch of really in-depth info. So far we've only heard kind of general overview details of My Team, but now we've actually got some real kind of how the game mechanics are going to work, how the menu systems are going to work, and how we're going to actually manage the team and build your own custom team up essentially. There's not going to be any gameplay of My Team. I'm just going to say that right now because as it stands, Codemasters aren't allowing us to capture anything from My Team. There's no even My Team available in the builds we've got so far, F1 2020, so you might have seen some other gameplay on the channel already. It's all going to be time trial, and there's going to be some gameplay displayed on the left of me here, which is going to be time trial just to be a bit of a visual stimulus because otherwise it's just going to be this. It's going to be a Word document with a load of notes you can see, basically, and these are the notes I've made off the kind of presentation Codemasters have presented to us about My Team. But plenty of really juicy details, so stick around for the entire thing if you are looking to play F1 2020 My Team. Let's get into it then. So off the bat, starting at the top of this document, kind of what we already know, which is create 11th team with My Team, manage facilities, finances, and contracts. But now we get into some actual details of how we're going to go about that. So when you start off your career mode for My Team mode, which is different to remember to normal career mode, you're going to start off creating your team. That's going to be involving signing a primary sponsor that will give you money to spend later on your team. So there's going to be potentially a choice of different primary sponsors, so that'll be quite important which one you choose essentially, because that will give you the budget basically. But there might be other reasons, I'm guessing, why you'd choose a cheaper sponsor perhaps. I'm gonna guess, because otherwise there would be really no point in that. Selecting a power unit. Now you do in fact select a proper actual power unit, so you literally in the menus you'll see Honda, Mercedes, Ferrari, and Renault, so you pick those. Obviously that costs money, so straight away you're spending some of the money that you might gain from the primary sponsors and the money that you have already. And this is different. Money is different to the R&D points. There's going to be in-game currency for your facilities and the team, and then R&D points are still there for the actual car upgrades itself. So this is just purely a new kind of currency that's being introduced for My Team. So you select your power unit. Obviously other power unit, the power units will be different as they are in real life, so there's that authenticity of, choosing maybe the Honda power unit might be a little bit slower initially, but might have more potential, perhaps. The Mercedes power unit might be a little bit less reliable, I'm not too sure, compared to the Ferrari one. It kind of depends on how Codemasters wants to play the different power units off on one another. But yeah, you select a power unit, and then you want to go ahead and hire a competitive teammate. So that's also going to cost you, and that's the fine balance, that you might choose a better engine that costs more, but that leaves you less budget then to choose a better teammate. Now, as we've stated before in a previous video, you can choose from the whole F1 grid and the F2 grid available in the game. So there is a driver market of all those F1 and F2 drivers. Now, it sounded like from what Lee Mather said in the presentation that really pretty much everyone is going to have to go towards an F2 driver, because if you want to run your team well, you're going to have enough funds to invest in the HQ, which makes sense. I mean, it's not realistic anyway to just create a team for yourself and drive for it, but in the sense of some sort of realism, it kind of makes sense that you have to start off with a lower down F2 driver and work your way up to eventually earn enough money, earn the prestige, earn the respect to be able to sign an actual F1 driver like your Lewis Hamilton, or quite nicely Sebastian Vettel, who's leaving Ferrari, of course, in real life at the end of 2020. So you choose a teammate, but that's going to cost you as well. So there's a balance between the engine and the teammate, basically. Then you go ahead and choose your livery. Now, the livery, from what we've seen so far, and I asked Lee Mather about this in a kind of Q&A session there was on Discord, the livery design system is very much kind of based off what the multiplayer car system is. The car that you have for My Team is going to be the FOM 2020 car. So that's the car that Codemasters have made in conjunction with Formula 1 to meet the 2020 technical regulations. So that's the car everyone's going to have, but you can choose a different livery for it. But it seems like the livery system is going to be entirely based around what they already have for the multiplayer system. So there's going to be like a bunch of preset designs, which, to be fair, there are some really nice designs on there. I've only really checked them out now as I was, going to edit and make this video, basically. And there are some decent designs out there, and with the right color schemes, there are going to be some really cool looking cars. It's unfortunate there's not going to be a livery editor, so that's one thing I'm going to mark Codemasters down on is that there really does need to be a livery editor, especially if we're going to carry this on into F1 2021 on the next gen. There definitely needs to be a livery editor, otherwise that's a big no-no in terms of going forward. But for now, I can kind of maybe see why, because it is the last game on this generation of consoles, and to bring something like as big as this, I can maybe allow them to have a little bit less on the livery side, because you've got all this kind of management stuff to do anyway. So the livery editor is going to be kind of based off multiplayer. You get to choose a team badge and design a team badge, which you mentioned before. So the team badge and the livery can match if you want. They can be different if you want. There's going to be a variety of different shapes you can choose from to create your badge. You've also got to assign your team race suits and define your team's visual identity. Now, what that means is a set of color schemes, basically. So kind of there are three different colors that will be your team's identity, which will show up and be color coordinated in every single cutscene and throughout the menu. So basically, when you see your HQ in the menus behind the kind of actual menu buttons, you'll see your team's colors. You know, in the cutscenes where the car gets revealed, there's going to be a car reveal, by the way. You can see that basically all is the colors that you've chosen. Now, there was a screenshot in this presentation. I actually tried to Photoshop from F1 2019 and just my Photoshop skills. I tried to copy it because I'm not allowed to screen grab from the presentation. But I'm not lying here when I say my Photoshop skills and the copying I was doing was so similar to what was on the presentation that Codemaster said I can't show it because it was too similar to just getting a screen grab. So I've got around it. I've drawn it because that's the next best thing. So on screen right now is a quick biro sketch drawing of what the screenshot was. You can see there the team badge is a custom shape. You can choose different shapes. The kind of identity are those three lines that go underneath the F1 car and behind it. Those three streaks and lines are different colors, and those will be throughout the menus. And then you choose your race overalls like you do right now in F1 2019 for multiplayer. And then you can see there is a livery on the car. That's also a color coordinated, and you can make it color coordinated to your race suit or not if you don't want to. So that's how the kind of designing your team and getting it all ready works. And then you've got funds that you'll try and get later down the line to hire better teammates, invest in the HQ. You'll get funding as you play the game, basically, obviously with the natural kind of course of things of your F1 team earning money as you go on through the season. And then with those extra funds, you can go on to sign a better driver. But signing a better driver, going for a better driver, has a catch. They're also going to want to see from you a high HQ level. Like, if you've got a team that's not going to give Lewis Hamilton a World Championship fight winning car, or a car that can win multiple races in the season, he's not going to want to sign for you. If he doesn't think your HQ is up to scratch, the car is not up to scratch, he's not going to sign for you. So you need to also invest in your entire team to actually ensure you can get these better drivers. And that's also why in my team, more than ever, you're going to care about your teammate. In normal career mode, you might not really care too much. I think most players don't, unless you're maybe a content creator like myself, but you don't really care about them too much. But with my team, you're going to definitely want to care about your teammate because it's a commodity. You're buying him essentially into the team, so that's money you're losing that you could be investing in the car. And to win the Constructors' Championship, which is ultimately the goal of my team career mode, you're going to need a good driver as a secondary to actually back you up. You might not. There is a way you probably could win the Constructors or the drivers by yourself and just have a great car and a really bad teammate. But I think the better way to go about it, obviously, would be trying to have a really cool, solid team. And so that's kind of the way you're going to have to play. You're going to have to be a little bit careful about that as you go on. Right, the next part, and you might have seen it actually already because I scrolled down by accident, but Will Buxton is going to be in the My Team career. I'm not too sure. I think he's also going to be in normal career mode, but Will Buxton basically is going to replace, I think, it seems, Claire that we've had for the last 2 years. So great to see an actual real-life face from the F1 paddock, you know, the paddock pass and whatnot that Will Buxton does on YouTube and Formula 1. Obviously, he's become kind of the face of Formula 1 presenting in that kind of way. So it's great to see him in the game, his likeness in the game. He's going to be interviewing you. Now, with regards to my team, he's going to interview you at the start of the game and ask you how you feel the team will perform in your first season. And the answers you give will directly impact the foundations you lay for your team. So if you say, I think my team's got a great aero department, your team will start off more aerodynamically stronger than if you said something about the engine department. So you're going to want to be careful and really think about what kind of car you want at the start of my team. Do you want a car that's got great aero but maybe a little bit slower on the engine side or chassis side in terms of a bit heavier on the chassis, or do you want it vice versa? Do you want to go for a different side of things? And also, I'm guessing reliability might be in that, so you're going to have to also try and stress about reliability potentially to try and hopefully get a good reliable car. But definitely pay attention to that interview at the start of my team. And along with Will Buxton giving you a press interview, there's going to be a cinematic car reveal, much like I would liken it to the MotoGP 20 car reveal. If you saw me playing MotoGP 20 career, you would have seen in there a cutscene of the motorbike being, kind of shown in the team livery, being shown and whatnot. So it's going to be very, very similar to that. Literally, the screenshot was literally like an F1 car rotating on like a black thing with some lights shining down. So very much like what MotoGP had in their career mode when you kind of reveal the team livery, which is really, really cool. I hope there's more cutscenes like that throughout my team to kind of just have that immersion of you in the world of Formula 1, seeing your car and your personnel and whatnot in the world of Formula 1, rather than just kind of being there in some menus, essentially. Managing the team with a timeline. The title's over here, but we're going to scroll down to this part right here. We're going to go, yeah, I'll keep it there. It's a little bit awkward on it with a bit of white space there, but that's fine. Right, so managing your team with a timeline. So we learnt in a previous video there is going to be a timeline system, very much like what FIFA has in terms of the calendar system, where you can see what's coming up in the calendar year and you can skip ahead and kind of simulate through. It seems like you will be able to kind of simulate through, but you're going to want to not just skip on, you're going to want to actually manage what you're doing in that time. So almost like in FIFA when you have the transfer deadline day and there's a set amount of time in that deadline day and you move forward an hour, that's basically how the entire timeline works with F1 race to race. There's an allotted set of time or days between Grand Prix, and you've got to pick activities that happen in those days. So again, I'm going to show you a drawing of what a screenshot looked like, and there's basically a bar at the top that has free time, 19 out of 21. So 21 days until the first Grand Prix of the season. And below that, there are different activities that take certain amount of days. So you've got a pre-season merch sale, which will take 5 days. Pre-season ad campaign, 5 days. Pre-season driver tour, 5 days. Then you've got 7 days, the aero and chassis improvements, or 7 days power and durability improvements. And then you've got 5 days driver training, which is going to be, or training camp, which is going to be for your teammate. Because obviously we know from previous videos I've already made with that info that you can improve your teammate and actually train him properly. You can see also in that drawing, you've got that kind of timeline aspect on the right-hand side with advanced time, and you can see what's coming up in the coming days. And then also on the other side of things on that drawing, you can see the kind of car reveal is there, and you've got these blocked off bits, so you can see the physical 5 days in the timeline it's going to take. So you've got that free time in between races, and you're going to have to try and manage the team and staff activities. You're going to generate funds and resources. Weekly resources seem to be coming in depending on the setup of your team and sponsors. So I saw in the screenshots that there were weekly resources coming in every week basically, but from speaking to Lee Mather in a Q&A, it seems like those can be affected, and you can maybe get more depending on how good your marketing department is in the team, and also what sponsors you've signed in terms of how much they're going to give you every single week. So you've also got to motivate your departments and your teammate, kind of like you already do in career mode with motivating your different departments with the interview questions. So driver training camps, PR events to attract better sponsors or funding, and department focus week to week. So motivating your teammate also is going to be a bit more fluid. You know, he might not want to do PR events, so if you do too many of them with him, he might not be as motivated. And equally, he might not want to do as many driver training camps. That actually might be a detriment if you do too many of them, in terms of you've got to pick a fine balance. And at the same time, it's the same with the departments. You've got to make sure you motivate them all equally to get the best out of all of them, essentially. PR events include like the driver press tour, advertisement campaign, like I said, and just general kind of driver presses, essentially. And then the AI also have to do this as well. I asked this question to Lee Mather specifically. The AI, every AI team has to simulate this themselves as well. So it's literally all going to be there in the background, them doing this same thing. So there's no unfair advantage for the AI. They'll also be doing this, and so they're going to have to manage things. So you might get a case of AI in later seasons of my team. Some of them might have managed it so poorly for 2 seasons that they get into real trouble, and there is the possibility of you running out of funds and being so badly mismanaged that departments might be locked off, and you also might get defaulted to a backup teammate who's going to be like the worst teammate possible available in the driver market. So you have to be careful about that, but also the AI will also have to do that as well. Right, teammate stats. Teammate stats are in the game. Of course, you can improve your teammates, so they've got experience, racecraft, awareness, and pace, all of which you can try and train, I assume, at some point through my team. I think a lot of those also will just naturally, as you go on through races, depending on how he does, I'm assuming that he's going to get kind of, attribute points towards those. But with the driver training camps, you can obviously try and improve the racecraft, the awareness, maybe, or the pace. Experience will probably definitely be only a thing that he gains as he goes on through the season, essentially. And then you've got also, along with your teammate upgrades, you've got upgrading running the actual facilities, the HQ. So you've got R&D generation from 4 car departments, and then the usual normal career mode part. So basically what that means is, I'm saying, is the R&D for the facilities, each department is still the same as it was in normal career mode. So you've got the engine, chassis, aero, and durability, and then you've got 2 more extra departments, which are personnel and marketing. But those original 4 that were already there from normal career mode, they operate largely the same in terms of the quality control and also the speed at which you can do things. But then there's an extra layer of R&D point generation, and you can upgrade those facilities, you know, the engine department, the chassis department, the powertrain, the durability department. You can upgrade those facilities to give you more R&D points per weekly resource, if you get what I mean. And then you've got the personnel and the marketing department. So the personnel, that's things like the simulator, analyst suite, the fitness center. So that will be all things to improve your teammates, essentially, and your staff as well. So that might have a knock-on effect to the rest of the departments. And then marketing is strictly to do with sponsor resources and activities management. So that's going to be about maybe getting you better PR events, potentially, or more PR events to do better, because the more PR events you do, the better sponsors you could get, and so that's more money in your pocket for the team. So you're going to want to invest in the marketing department for the long run to give you back money, essentially. So you kind of, like I say a lot of the time in Motorsport Manager career mode, you've got to spend money to make money, and that's going to be the same thing in my team. But that all trickles into, there's a weekly R&D and a weekly running cost of your team, and so depending on how much you invest in your departments in terms of kind of generating that, the better those weekly costs will be. The better kind of, you know, more R&D points you'll have to play around each week, and the less the running costs will be, I guess, because you've got more money. I mean, the costs will be higher, but you'll obviously have more money in the bank as well, so it won't be as much of a hit, and you might not be on the red line for, like, being bankrupt, essentially. And finally, then, with the specific R&D, now, this is the actual tree itself of improving the car, because what I talked about before with those different departments, that's just in a facility kind of way. Now I'm talking about actually improving the car, so zooming in and actually seeing that tree then of developing. So now what they've got in the career mode, as well as my team, is a developing in standard mode and rush mode. So this is almost like kind of almost like the pit stops in Motorsport Manager, where you could rush a pit stop, but it could actually have a high chance of failure. You've got this in the R&D, which I really love. So you can potentially try and rush through an R&D component, but it's got a higher chance of failure. So you take that risk of it failing. So you can't really get that pissed off if it fails in the next race, because you were the one who rushed it. At the same time, you can just develop it in standard mode. And then this is another real cool kicker that will also be coming up in the career mode as well, which is the power unit supply upgrade. So now, if Mercedes upgrade their engine, you will also see that upgrade if you have a Mercedes engine. If you're a customer of Mercedes, you will see the same upgrade the Mercedes AI team has bought. The same with Honda. Well, I guess, well, with Honda, it's a little bit different, actually. Honda doesn't actually have a factory one, so that might not actually be the case. But with Mercedes and Ferrari and Renault, actually, so actually, if you choose a Honda engine, that actually might be quite a detriment to the entire thing, actually. So that's actually a top tip, maybe. You might not want to choose Honda, depending on how that works. I think, to be honest, logically, it would make sense if they said if Red Bull upgraded, then you would also get an upgrade, because Red Bull are obviously the kind of top team at Honda. But definitely for Mercedes, Ferrari, and Renault, if their factory team upgrades, you're going to see that upgrade trickle down to you as well, which is amazing. It's one of those things that I've definitely said before in a kind of game ideas for career mode, so it's great to see they're going to put it in not only to normal career mode, but also my team career mode. So that has been the kind of full presentation. Hopefully you're not asleep. I understand this is quite a nerdy and quite a kind of, you know, wordy video, basically, rather than gameplay, but my hands are tied. Codemasters, unfortunately, didn't have anything to show of my team gameplay-wise for us to record. Neither were we allowed to show any of the screenshots, which I'm going to plainly say, if they're watching, I'm not going to, you know, sugarcoat it. It's a little bit crappy, because I think most people, when it comes to videos, want a visual kind of aid of it, but hopefully those of you who really do care about this kind of game mode and are going to play it have stuck with me through this entire video and you found it informative. And if you did, be sure to smash the like button. Let me know what you thought of all those details of F1 2020 My Team, and if you're new around here, then do get subscribed, because there'll be some more F1 2020 gameplay and some more news videos coming up later this week, or even today. And then obviously, as the news comes in, if and when, I'll try my best to get to it as fast as I can. But that has been all the details we know so far about F1 2020 My Team and the ones that you need to know about. But I've been aarava. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the day. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.